almost a year. We started last July, right? Or was it August? August. Yes. So this is an entire year cycle of 1 year of Tales that we did, and I think we've had a lot of fun. Isn't it? Yes. Yeah. So this is like really special for us, Thomas. When we started, we didn't think we were going to have so many episodes, right? Anu, were you there at the time? You came a little later. You came a little later. So yes, we for some of you have been here all the time, but some of you come for the first time. We started this series as very informal conversations, which is what it continues to be, about creativity and innovation, right? As a design team, we have partial designers and we have graphic designers, and we are focused on a very specific niche, which is retail, right? And what we were feeling was that while we're very good at what we do, even if I say but it's just one kind of design, one kind of problem solving that we focus on. And we saw this as an opportunity to look at how other people are solving other creative problems and to learn from that and to go back refreshed, to what we are doing and to hear about really, really diverse perspectives. And that's what this whole quest has been about. We've had a lot of fun doing these things, and if any one of you has ideas, because now we have a platform, if there are people you would want to hear and listen and have these kind of conversations, please tell us. We have the space, we have a tiny little community now, and we would love to hear. So in this year, we had a book writing coach who came and spoke to us about how he helps people write books, what's the process of writing books and curating content. And then we've had people, somebody who's a theater artist, and she came and facilitated a workshop for all our audience. And we've had somebody last month who works with e-governance, where they design simpler systems for government utilities to be consumed efficiently. So it's a really mixed bag of people that we've been learning from, and we hope to continue doing that. So today, of course, like I said, we have a very special person to come and speak to us. That's Thomas. Thomas, thank you for coming by. Thomas and I met about a year ago at an event, and I figured that he's such an easy person to talk to. And I've taken the liberty of reaching out to him time and again and talk to him about what he does at IKEA. I know I call it IKEA and they call it IKEA, but we keep slapping the name. But yeah, that's how it is. And Thomas is essentially a creative, and he's mentored so many creative teams within IKEA. And when I asked him that, would you do that for us, while we are not really part of your larger organization, and he was so excited about that. So Thomas is going to take this opportunity to also tell us the rich background that he comes from. When I look at his profile, he tells me, I don't know how many countries you've lived in, Thomas, but I could see at least 4 there. Where he's been a long-term resident. So I'm sure that does not count the countries you've visited and spent some extended amount of time. And I was having a lovely conversation with him about how he truly immerses himself in the place, the city, the culture, the country that he lives in, and how he goes about doing that. But I'm going to let Thomas decide what he's going to talk to us about today, which essentially, he gave me a heads up, is about how we as designers, how can we balance the creativity part of it with the absolute business requirements that we need to fulfill as part of larger teams. And it's a challenge that we at Retail Design have been trying to work through. We're doing the Stanford course, and that essentially is meant to bring a deeper business vein into our team per se. So when Thomas offered to speak about something like that, I was so delighted. I was like, I think it's something just at the right time for us as a team as well. So that's enough of my speaking, and over to you, Thomas. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, I just introduced myself a little bit more in detail. So I would like also to introduce a little bit the topics I have prepared for this morning. But first of all, I'm Thomas. I'm German. I'm from Germany. Born near Munich, but grown up in the city of Cologne in the far western part of Germany. And Cologne is my hometown until today because my entire family and my friends are living there. Even though I've lived in so many different cities in Germany before I started my journey, my professional career also abroad. My journey as a creative person started a little bit late, but I would like to talk about my personal journey first and switch also to some topics and come back always to my personal experiences, because I think storytelling is also very important, that you understand where I'm from, where I'm coming from, and how have I built up my mindset being a creative person. And I also would like to touch a little bit creative leadership. What does it mean to lead a creative team? And of course, one main topic is also this balancing being a creative mind and being also a business partner, which is for us creatives sometimes a struggle, but it's so important because at the end we want to be and we are professionals and have to work in the business, and at the end we want to also to earn our money. And for a creative person, this is something where we have to apply, and I also would like to touch this topic. When I started in my teenager time to think about what career, what kind of development, professional development I wanted to do, I started already thinking about my gut feeling and thought about, okay, when you are nearly finishing school, what do you do after school? And do you go to university? Do you plan an apprenticeship at a company, just learn a profession? Um, I reflected a lot, and then I reflected what kind of person I am. And then I thought about, okay, what makes me special? And already at this time, when I needed to decide which main direction my future life will have, I thought about creativity in general. And when I thought about what is my passion, I always came back to something special, which was linked to a creative mindset. Means, what have I made as a teenager? I was I grew up with Lego bricks. Just an example, Lego bricks, a great tool for children. And when I compare it, what I've made with Lego bricks, I was always spending hours in my room building things with Lego bricks. And when I compare it with my brother, what he has made with Lego bricks was totally different because he had a different or has a different mindset. Then I started at the age of 12 with photography. I always had a small box camera also when I was a little child, but really consciously starting with photography started with 12. And then I started really working in a conscious way with photography and stepped more and more into the details of photography. Joined photography courses as a teenager. We had at our school art teacher who was also our photography teacher, and this was the first education, really deep education in photography I got, and this was also fitting to the mindset I had already as a teenager, creating things. Photography is still one of my main passions, and I would like to talk about this also a little bit later, and probably we can also have a dialogue where we can talk about things you have in mind. Please feel free also to prepare some questions after my introduction. I would like also to turn into this dialogue with you guys. Yeah, being a teenager, looking for orientation, then you already struggle with the first, I would say, business opportunity, because when you decide going to university, you need money. So you have to talk to your parents because you don't have a job, and university costs a lot, especially if you plan to study at a different location than your hometown. So, like most of the teenagers, you have dreams, you have plans which are not well always fitting with your parents' mindset and what your parents think you should do. So after having had really deep discussions with my parents, because of course I wanted to continue studying photography, but my dad was crystal clear, that's nonsense, no future. If you would like to do it, you have to do it by yourself, but you don't get any financial support from my end. Think about something serious. And then I needed to decide the first time how to balance a kind of business for myself. What do I have to do as a creative? And then I thought about, okay, photography is one passion, but I also have a passion for writing. And during my school time, I already have worked for a students' magazine at the school, and we focused on literature. And I also started, like a lot of teenagers, writing short stories, poems, and I had already a passion for writing. And this came also to my mind. My wished dream profession was becoming a journalist. Either a photojournalist, which was definitely my dream, with all the idols you have in mind, the great photographers and all these guys who are famous and made really great pictures. I also wanted to be a magazine photographer, but on the other hand, this passion for writing was something where I thought about, okay, how can I become a journalist? Combining probably also photography and writing. And at this time, there were different opportunities. There were journalist schools available, but also making way a little bit different, studying something which you can use becoming a specialist journalist. And I was always interested also in politics, and I thought about, okay, what can be a good base for becoming a political journalist? And then I decided to study, study and first starting with law, studying law. At this time, we had a very good university system in Germany. It's changing or has changed already since some years with the alignment in the European Union with the bachelor and master studies. At this time, we had the complete freedom to study what you wanted to have. You have enrolled to a main course, but you were able to join a lot of different other courses. So my main course was law, but I also studied German literature, and I found also a niche at my university in Cologne without having this financial pressure, getting support from my dad, because at the University of Cologne there was also a part for educating teachers. And there was also an art teacher department, and they offered also every semester photography courses. So I joined and enrolled also for these photography courses and had the opportunity to study also photography. Means what I would like to say is at this time I already needed to think about who I am. I'm a creative person. What do I want to do? And how to balance this with rational business opportunities. At the end, I was not really amazed about this strict law studies because I don't want to become a lawyer. This was my goal. I wanted to become a journalist, taking the examination from university to the next step, getting a job at a newspaper. And after finishing the university, I started at a city magazine in Bonn. Bonn is a city near Cologne, was our former capital when we had this East-West German situation. And there I started working as a feuilleton journalist and got complete freedom. The editor gave me 4 pages in each edition, and I could do whatever I wanted to do. Great opportunity, and at this time I really started to write as a professional journalist, taking photographs, of course, but parallel I still looked for an opportunity getting a job at, I would say, serious newspaper, a daily newspaper, and started also to create my portfolio with text, but also with photography. I registered myself as a photographer at the German press office in Bonn, could join all these political events with this opportunity as a journalist, and had great opportunities to meet people, to join events, creating also a network. At the end, I must say, unfortunately, it failed because at the end of the 80s, beginning of the 90s, already a lot of magazines and newspapers cut the costs. Online was not such a topic at this time, but cost cutting, putting together different newspapers and magazines. Magazines and newspapers closed. So the job opportunities were not well available. I nearly scratched the door of a newspaper, but at the end I got a rejection of my application. And I continued at the city magazine, and sometimes in your life things happen without planning. At this time I was working and having my studio and my desk at a shared office, and we were at the beginning 8 journalists, and then people changed, and sometime film production designer moved into our office because he came back to Cologne and needed an office space, and he moved in because there was space available. And more by coincidence, we had a chat in the evening, had a glass of beer as a kind of after work, and then he asked me, Thomas, I need some support for production, for the preparation of a production, film production. I need a location scout because I'm still settling down and haven't created my entire team. And do we have time to support me? I said, okay, let's do it. And from this time, I worked with this production designer, starting as a location scout just for a couple of days. Then he hired me also as production design assistant, assistant production designer, property master. And after a while, I moved into the film industry as a full-timer, quit my job at the City magazine because this film industry was so fascinating. And I worked there for 2 years as an assistant production designer and property master. These 2 years were part of my life which have been extraordinary because it was a 24/7 job for the 2 years. I've worked 2 years in the film industry. Totally stressful, day and night. To be honest, I needed to think about what I'm doing after my friends faded away because I haven't had any private time anymore. This is a disadvantage working as a freelancer, especially in special jobs. And on the other hand, the production designer, he was at this time a quite famous German production designer, award-winning production designer in Europe. And he was also a great teacher. And he taught us always and introduced us always what he's doing. When I talk a little bit about leadership, I always refer also to his experience and the experience working with him, because he was a great mentor and teacher and a great creative leader. He was one of the ones who has really influenced also my leadership being a leader for a creative team. I will probably come to this again. Um, After, like I said, 2 years working in the film industry, still taking over some jobs as photographer, still writing for newspapers as a freelancer. So it was really a multifunctional job I have made. I was stuck at one time in a production which was delayed and we needed to finish. And I lost the next production, the next job, because I needed to finish the other production, and my boss assigned somebody else for the other one. After that, I was in a serious situation. You must know that in Europe, the film productions are normally running, so the shoots of the films are normally running from March till October, November, so more in the summer season. The winter season is more less busy time. Normally you take over studio jobs, but when I finished this production, I needed to stay. I had no further job. And this is something what you experience as a freelancer quite often, that you have to fight for your jobs, and you always are busy finding new job opportunities. Means I was in the situation, the tax office wanted to get a lot of money in advance. I needed to survive, I needed to earn money, so what to do without having a job? It's also something what you need to have flexibility. I also call it creativity for your daily life. Um, IKEA was already running a store in Cologne for 10, 15 years. And they relocated this old store some 100 meters next to the old location. And they built it up, this new store, and needed a lot of people to support the store build up. They had a job ad, and I just called them. Okay, do you still look for people? Yeah, yeah, just come around and we have a chat. And I went to the office, to the HR office, had a nice chat, and after 5 minutes, we already, probably you know, in German and in some other languages, we have two different kinds of talking to people. The series form, we call it the Z form, the third form, and the more casual form, the du, so the personal form. In English, it's not so expressed. In French, we have it also. And after 5 minutes, and we started the serious conversation. After 5 minutes, we turned into this more casual way of talking to each other, because it's also coming from Sweden. And then after 15 minutes, after introducing myself, what I've made, especially in the film industry, but also in the way I've worked as a freelancer, um, I had a job in the store design team just for 4 weeks, just to support the build-up. And next day I joined and was so surprised how they are working. So the way IKEA works and how the teams are working together was totally surprising for me. I haven't experienced such a way of working, and I settled down quite fast. After 2 days, I was already in this typical IKEA mindset, and after these 4 weeks supporting the build-up with a lot of fun, um, the design manager and the selling manager came to me and said, Thomas, would you like to stay? Your contract finishes in a couple of days. Would you like to stay? There's an opportunity. We have some vacant positions, and there's an opportunity to start in the store design team. Would you like to do it? This was a very initial moment in my life, because once they've talked to me, it was first of all that the managers came to me and just as a helper, and they talked to me on a level which amazed me. They took me so serious, so respectful as a probably future co-worker, and offered me a job without applying. And then I said, okay, let's wait until tomorrow. Please give me some time to reflect. And because my former boss, the production designer, also called me, Thomas, I have a great studio job for you. It's only night shift for 4 weeks, but it's a great job. You earn a lot of money. And then I needed to think about, what do I want to have? And for me, this experience having this 24/7, 2-year job in the film industry was still in my mind. And I know and remember this evening so well. So after the guys have talked to me if I would like to continue at IKEA, I went to a vernissage in a museum in Cologne, and I went through the exhibition just by myself, reflected the day, the job offer chat, and enjoyed this exhibition. It was such a relaxing atmosphere in this museum. It was so nice to be again in a museum, joining an event, which I remembered I've had this always when I worked for the City magazine, visiting exhibitions, visiting cultural events, and this was what I wanted to do. Then I reflected, okay, um, do I really want to go back to this stressful film job? And then while walking through the exhibition, I decided, no, this is what I would like to experience more. I still want to meet my friends. And while walking through the exhibition, I decided, okay, the next morning I say yes to the job offer. Always in mind, probably there's an opportunity, if it's not working out, to go back to the film industry. But at the end, after, and I remember also quite well, I've started at IKEA, settled down, was integrated in this amazing team. And my boss, my former boss, always called me, Thomas, what's the situation? Still IKEA, or do you want to come back and make some nice films? And there was, I think it was around 6 months after I've started at IKEA as a permanent co-worker. Um, I I still had my office desk and my studio in this shared office. I was there and I met the production designer at the office, and we had a really nice chat. And I said to him, I have made a decision. I stay with IKEA, and was a nice time. And he was great. He said, I totally understand. And we stayed in touch until I moved away from Cologne. But I decided and made this conscious decision to start at IKEA. And it was also the opportunity to continue in interior design. Production design is also interior design. And in the 2 years with the production designer, I've learned so much about interior design, and I could apply immediately this knowledge also at IKEA. And this was also a reason because the store design team also acknowledged my previous experience as an interior designer to start in the creative design team at IKEA. To make it a little bit short, I also don't want to talk too much about IKEA internal topics. I would like to talk a little bit more about creativity and such things more in general. The journey at IKEA started nearly 35 years ago, and I'm still working for IKEA. I'm now one of the old experienced co-workers, and we are also getting less because most of these colleagues are already retired. We have such a job history with IKEA. But I also remember when I started, I always looked at the colleagues, oh, 5 years with IKEA, 10 years with IKEA, such experienced people. And now I'm the one who can look back and has a more than 30-year career. So because I'm always looking forward, I always want to develop myself professionally, but also personal. And I was always interested also to doing more, to take more responsibility. The opportunity within IKEA is amazing. This company offers you a lot of development opportunities. And I started as a co-worker, could develop myself with a trainee program into a role of junior manager. started as interior design manager in a store which was unfortunately not close to my hometown. This was also something, a compromise I needed to take, making career within IKEA. So I moved away from Cologne, and this was also the start of my journey moving around Germany, different positions, different stores. I developed myself also into the position of the department head of the store design team. And 2013, I started my first assignment abroad. It was in Australia, in Perth. After a couple of years living there, I moved to Korea, worked for IKEA in Seoul, with a short period coming back to Germany for a project. I moved to India nearly 4 years ago, and here I am, working currently as IKEA for Business specialist, and supporting the interior design service teams at the stores as a so-called matrix. I'm also working with B2B marketing for the country, and can still work with my interior design background. Also, if I've moved and shifted after so many decades working only in the creative teams, I'm now connected to the more commercial team. I'm now a member of the selling team, not the creative team anymore. Roughly my IKEA career, but for me it was also always a dream. Once I've understood how IKEA works, I always had a dream to work, to live and work abroad. I always said, oh, how nice it would be to live and work where others spend their holidays. That it became the first assignment in Australia, I never have thought about. It was also more happening by coincidence, but you need to grab opportunities wherever they appear. And living abroad is definitely an experience I never would like to miss. And also adapting your daily life to the local culture, to the local life is something what's so amazing. And living here in India is also something what really strengthens my personal but also professional experience, because when you have to work with diverse teams, you need to change your mindset completely. And this is always also a balance, not to slash everything what you have in mind, what you have experienced, but also adapting new things to your way of working and way of thinking. Good. That's a little bit about myself. I would like to turn a little bit to other topics. Creativity in general. Creativity is a word which sometimes is also misused. And people use creativity for whatever they want. But a lot of people don't know really what is creativity. And I think everyone has an opinion. What is creativity? When I have job interviews, a lot of young people apply for creative jobs because they think they are creatives. When you ask them, why have you applied? Yeah, I'm a creative. Then I ask always, why do you think you are a creative person? Yeah, I'm drawing. I'm always moving with the furniture in my room and create new looks. And this is what is creativity for me. I always struggle with such answers because, of course, and I think there are also other opinions available. For me, creativity is not something what you are doing. creativity for me is kind of mindset. And it's something what's connected with conscious doing, of course, a lot of feelings, gut feeling. Creative people must have a special gut feeling about visual expressions. Other artists need to have this imagination about music, for example. A musician, a composer needs to have a total different mindset, a total different skill being a creative person. But creativity is not only what you are doing, it's the expression what you are doing. When you think about classic composers, we have a lot of classic composers who have composed symphonies. But what is making these people, or have made these people, up to till today, it's still happening. But what is the creative output of a classic composer? Think about different composers. We have in the European culture some famous composers in the 18th, 19th century. Mozart, one of the famous, Beethoven. They have both composed great symphonies, to stick with this example, but total different ways how they've expressed their creative mindset, creating a symphony. The symphony is a piece of music in a special structure. But how have they made it? You identify a Mozart symphony immediately, or a piece of Mozart music, compared to a piece of Beethoven or other composers. Take Vivaldi. The most popular piece of Vivaldi are the Four Seasons. It's a collection of 4 short violin concerts. But you immediately hear this is a piece of Vivaldi. Means what is the creativity of these people? Creating something special. And in the case of Beethoven, for example, he was so creative that he changed the setup of symphonies. At this time, it was normal that a symphony, a piece of music, had 3 movements. Mostly starting with a fast track, adagio, then you have the second movement, a little bit slow, the break, and then you can finish with an allegro, the most exciting, the fast. This structure, the 3 movements, have been established for a long time. What has Beethoven made? He was so creative. He implemented in his symphonies, his famous 9 symphonies, a 4th movement. It was totally different from what was there before, but it was still a symphony. And with this masterpiece, or of course, all his symphonies are masterpieces, but this very special masterpiece, the 9, with a choir at the end in the 4th movement, a revolution in classical music. So what I would like to say is creativity is also something very special, individual. Creating a style means when you are a creative mind, if you have a creative mindset, you need also to think about yourself. What expresses your creativity? What is your style? What is your passion? What is your gut feeling saying about your personal creativity? And creating a special style is very important for each creative person. Not what you're creating manually, it's happening in your mind. Your style develops over the years, but you need to listen to your inner voice, what is really expressing yourself, your style. It's also connected to your personality. In the art, we have also these examples. Think about Van Gogh, Vincent van Gogh, a great painter, amazing paintings. When you have the opportunity to visit a museum, looking at a Van Gogh original, you can't compare it with a poster. It's so amazing what this guy has made. But he was struggling with this himself. He was not able to survive, I would say, because he needed so much support. He was so much into his art, but this was his mindset. He was expressing his mindset with this very special style. But this is the Van Gogh style, and it was fitting to his personality. There are a lot of art scientists and art historians who try to understand what was going on in his mindset. But think about other artists. Think about Picasso or Dali as some famous examples I have just in mind. Totally different personalities. They express their personality into their art, into their creativity. Picasso with his amazing lifestyle, or Dali, this extrovert, self-promotional businessman. And today, nobody knows which painting, which piece of art was really made from himself, because he was changing the art into a totally different way. But compare Dali with Van Gogh, different mindsets. Even they have worked and made and painted artwork, great paintings, both artists, but how they have expressed their creativity, totally different. And the link to the personality is something what is so important to find your style. And for me, it was also important when I started taking more and more responsibility in my role in the store design teams at IKEA. I also needed to think about what is expressing my style, because each store at IKEA has also a little bit kind of special expression linked to the creative team. And what was my special attitude? What is my mindset? And I needed to think about also what is my creative mindset, what is my style. And I've also reflected. You need to do it in a conscious way. You need to express yourself in a conscious way. It's not only about feelings and gut feelings. It's important to have this emotional connection, but the conscious mind is also very important, to be a creative mind. To be proud of your style and work out your style to become a master in your style. When I turn a little bit this topic into another chapter of this morning event, talking about creativity and business, I already touched a little bit what I've made to think about my own business, being a creative person, how to compromise. But what does it mean being a creative mind, or being a member of a creative team working with customers, running a business, or being a team member which is serving customers? Of course, you always have examples of creative people, either architects, photographers, whatever, theater people, musicians, whoever has worked with customers, and they got the opportunity to work out their style, their ideas in the best way. There are great architects who have created buildings which are icons in architecture. There were photographers who created um, fashion stories for magazines like Vogue or Elle, which are so extraordinary. But this is something what happens not in the daily business. The daily business is something what is full of compromise, frustration, but also still expressing yourself. So this balance between all these different topics needs to be done. And each creative person needs to be aware that being in the tough business means that everything what you are doing is linked to your customers' needs and customers' expectations. The customer will, in the best case, brief you what to do, what is his expectation, what is he wants to have, made interior design, advertising, whatever. Each business works in the same way. So the customer is the master. The customer decides what to do. A lot of creative people are struggling, and they can't deal with the strict requirements the customer wants to have. The briefing can be strange, can be not fulfilling basics, but at the end, and this is what I always see, if you don't find a way to deal with the customer, even if it's a very difficult customer, you will lose your business immediately. Means when I'm coming back to the role of the creative people in this setup, in this business setup, you don't need to be frustrated. If the customer wants to have things which are totally against your style, your creative mindset, or whatever you have in mind to do as a nice thing, you should listen to the customer. You should demand a clear and detailed briefing, and then you start working on the briefing to deliver the best solution for the customer's needs and expectations, using your creative mind and your skills you have. And then when I'm coming back to your style, your personal style, you have to find a way to implement your personal style into your job for the customer. And of course, sometimes things happen you can't steer, you can't predict, because the customer has something in mind which is not 100% fitting to what you have in mind. For example, in the interior design, we face it quite often. The customer has some ideas, expectations, something in mind which doesn't fit together. For example, he wants to mix styles, modern styles, traditional style, country style, everything into one room. We as interior designers know this is not working. But if the customer wants to have it, we have to use our creativity to find a solution to satisfy the customer. And of course, sometimes we need to be also honest to the customer, to say, okay, I've created this solution for you, compromising all your input. This is my solution, but sometimes it's also needed to be honest, to be clear, this is not working, but I have created this solution, which is a benefit and gives you a lot of more good interior design expression than if we have mixed everything what you have had in mind. So this balance, using your creativity and compromising with the customer demands, is so important. There are situations in this creative process because it's always a kind of process. Creativity is nothing static, it's a process, also a changing process. You have briefing sessions, then you start working, then you have checkpoints, then you have to redo, and at the end you have the presentation. And it can happen that at the final presentation the customer says, no, I don't like it, I don't buy it. Either you have the chance to do it from scratch or have to redo or adjust, or the customer says, no, sorry, I'm looking for something different and I'm looking for a different company. Can happen. But these are normally the worst cases. Normally, if the customer has huge concerns about the solution, normally if it's a good customer, he will give you a chance to adjust your solution with a new briefing or adjusted briefing. For the creative process, it's always difficult because if the customer changes his mind on the journey, this makes it so difficult because initial briefing is very important, that you can start. Without a briefing, an initial briefing, you can't start working. But if the customer changes his mind on the way and doesn't give you a clear additional briefing or expresses some demands for changes, then the final presentation can be a disaster. But this happens not always. Normally, you have to have always this conversation. Also, when you have checkpoints, when you have a proper conversation with the customer, you have to stick to this process and always have in mind to update the customer what you are doing and still continue with the conversation. This is so important that you have this dialogue with the customer, because we are talking mostly to strict, experienced business people, and we are the creative people. And the mindsets of these partners are totally different. On the other hand, there are compromises you have to take, even it would be a no-go. Sometimes you need to fulfill the demands of the customer, and you need to say, okay, it's not what I can or would do normally, because it's also my reputation. If the solution is not showing a right output, then it's also my reputation. I had this once also, not only once, I have had these situations quite often when we have had these different expectations between customer and IKEA. I always talk about the internal customers also, because the store design team is working with the rest of the store team to create the store expression. But what I always have in mind is an experience situation still back in the film industry. We worked on a movie settled down in 1963, means a historic movie. And for such historic movies, it's so important that the production design is so 100% accurate, showing how the people have lived, you losing the right props, using the right setup. It's so important. Otherwise, if it's not a series movie, then probably mistakes will be accepted. But for a series historical movie, there are no mistakes accepted. Um, there are examples where the design team made such an effort to create so detailed setups. But what we have made in this movie was settled down in this time, and we made everything looking like 1963. 30 years later, we have shot this movie. And there was one scene where the director wanted to have a poster of a pop star on the wall of a teenager. It was for him a very important scene. And the problem was this poster, which was taken from a teenager magazine, famous magazine at this time. And this poster was published 1965. The whole look of this pop star was not fitting to 1963. Her haircut, her dress was 1965. There were already the miniskirts. 1963, the women, the girls haven't worn miniskirts. But on this poster, it was a total different look. So we had a huge discussion with the director and said, from our point of view, we are responsible for the historic setup. It's a no-go. We can't use it. It's also our reputation when we use wrong props. At the end, there was a clear decision. The director said, I'm the director, I'm the decision maker. You have to hang this poster into this room. So it was a compromise we needed to do. Even my boss and myself were totally frustrated. We have argued with the director. At the end, we needed to do it what he wanted to do. So this is also something what can happen in the creative process, that you have to do things which are not okay from your point of view. But this is business. If you wouldn't have made this, we would have had an escalation, which I can't imagine what would have been the result. If we go back to a normal business, if we don't do what the customer, the strict customer wants to have, if he wants to have something implemented, we need to do it. Even we have to say it's a no-go. But this is something what happens in the creative process quite often. Much more serious is when you can't manage these situations. Means when you are working in the creative business, you also need to build up your self-confidence as a creative person. If you developed yourself as a creative person, you have created and developed your style, you have worked on a lot of projects, you can be proud of what you have made. You have to build up your self-confidence. And this self-confidence strengthens yourself in such conversations, such discussions. This is also your reputation. And if you have the self-confidence, you can also talk to your customer in a more advanced way. Some years ago at IKEA, we have seen, because the store design teams are really creative teams with great, very often creative people are dreamers. And, and you know probably what I'm saying. Creative people are really in their mindset. And when I talked about Dali and Van Gogh, these extremes are very special, but normally we have these more Van Gogh people in the creative business, more the introvert, more the people who are thinking in a different sphere. Um, I once had a discussion with a selling manager at IKEA, and he always said, "Oh, can I talk to your girls? They are always walking on cloud 7, and they are not on the surface." But it's true. On the other hand, you have to build up also some rational business skills as designers, as creative people. If you would like to survive in the creative business, dealing with customers, you need to build up a second pillar of your competence, and this is the business competence. It starts with communication skills, how to talk, how to interact with the customer, how to interact with suppliers, with contractors, how to present, and this is a very important skill you have to build up, how to present in front of an audience. And like I said, at IKEA, we have found out some years ago this potential within our store design teams. And we have started development training to provide the creative teams communication and presentation skills, which is so important because we had internally the situation that the store design team, the coworker who has worked on the project, was presenting to the store manager and selling manager as our internal customers. And immediately these guys, rational, really, really tough and extrovert and fitted with a lot of self-confidence, they immediately took over the lead of the presentation. And the co-worker who was really introvert and haven't had this presentation skill failed in the presentation. And the whole project failed because the selling manager and the store manager said, "No, we don't buy this solution, make it again." If you are presenting it with a lot of self-confidence, showing your competence, showing that you have created a great solution, and this is an attitude. It's also face language. It's how you are presenting in the room. What's your body language? Everything plays together, but it's something what you need to learn and you need to train. The creative process is your core business, but how to sell it to your customer is important in the same way. Managing frustrations is another topic creative people need to learn, because also because of the special mindset of creative people, we are always filled with self-doubts. Oh, the customer has rejected my solution. Oh, I'm so bad. I can't manage this anymore. These self-doubts, and you have it, and I'm back with Vincent van Gogh, he was full of self-doubts. He was always struggling. Is my art really something what the people want to see? He was not able to manage this because he was not able to sell his art. At the end, and the success story of Vincent van Gogh was because he had support from his brother Theo, and he started selling his paintings. and his sister-in-law after Theo passed away. And he never has sold with success any painting while he was living. And this is also because he struggled and he hasn't the capability to sell his work. But we have, as creative people, need to have this capability. Presenting skills, communication skills, managing the frustration, not being desperate when the customer rejects or starts a weird conversation or discussion on your work. I could talk about the processes for hours because there are so many things you need to be aware of, but it will be a little bit too much, I guess, for today. But it's such an important thing, and also which tools you can use for the creative process, how to build up the creative process. Because we are already it's already more than 1 hour I'm talking. I would like to touch another topic before we hopefully start a dialogue and a little bit conversation. Um, I would like to touch just briefly the topic leadership. If you plan to develop yourself into a leader, team leader, business leader, company owner, whatever, running your own business with your own team, and you are working with creative people, important is that you are leading a creative team which needs a special way of leadership. Each business, each team needs a special kind of leadership. For example, in the army, there's a clear way of leadership. No discussions, there's a clear advice from the platoon leader and everyone needs to follow. No discussions. In the normal business, you have also these different structures. A conservative company works also top down. You have to follow the advice of your boss if it makes sense or not. A creative team needs to have leadership as a team, not top down, not working with directions and advice. Creative leadership, from my point of view, works with a clear team spirit. The leader needs to be a part of the team. And when I talk about leadership, I don't talk about management because there's a difference between leadership and management. Managers are needed. We need managers for special tasks, for special projects. We need leaders for different purposes. And the creative team doesn't need a manager to lead the team. Of course, when you are running a business, you need also to develop your management skills. But when we are talking about leadership, leading a creative team, you need to apply fully to the leadership topics. Being on the people's side, not always on the business side. Of course, this is the balance again between business and creativity. As a leader, as a manager, you always have also to have in mind that you have to work on management and business topics. But when we are back, how to lead a creative team, it's about coaching, it's about mentoring, it's about listening, it's about conversation, discussion, a creative process steered by the leader and supported by the leader. Support is very important. Not leaving the team alone with the task, support while running the task. Then I'm briefly back what I said, when I think about my experiences working with great leaders, of course, I've also worked with leaders, managers, which I don't remember so well, don't want to remember them because we struggled because of different reasons. When I come back to the production designer, I said already, he was a great teacher and mentor because he involved us always in everything what he's doing. He was really involving the team. Then he assigned us to the specific jobs. And he was so great, he already saw in the team who has which passion, who has which skills and capabilities. And funny thing was, I was always assigned to the chaotic student rooms and special rooms which haven't looked so serious. Of course, I also furnished living rooms for a serious couple, but my special task always was the chaotic room, I would say. And I was so passionate to make it like the person just left the room. And exactly this feedback I once got from a director. He said, Thomas, great job. I think the person just left the room. This was for me such a nice feedback because it has shown that I've made the right job. And this production designer also mentored and coached us because he was sharing his skills and his experience, which is very important for a leader. Also, treating the team equally and not top down. I'm the one who knows everything. I've made everything. I'm the big star, and you are nothing. No, it must be the total opposite. The leader of a creative team must be feeling as an equal part of the team. And then you can work with the team on great output. Otherwise, the frustration in the team will appear immediately because you also need to know how the mindset of creative people are. If you want to lead a creative team, you need to know how the mindset of the people is. And if you don't understand, you can't lead a creative team. I would say, and just as an example, somebody who is really working in logistics, for example, rational with clear structures, this is important and needed for the logistics setup. Running a warehouse is something totally different comparing creating a store design. The leader needs to have a different mindset, a different kind of leadership, and also different capabilities. But with this rational mindset, probably this person has problems to lead a creative team because this person probably don't understand the mindset because it's not the personality of this rational leader. A creative leader must have also the creative mindset. On the other hand, I've met at IKEA great colleagues who had, for example, this rational business management mindset. They've started in the shop design team, were partly department heads, but then their journey turned into a different way. And today, some of them are still working with IKEA. They're great store managers up to today. So some of the creative colleagues from the past are store managers because their mindset, and when I met them, I already saw, they are not really the ones who have the creative mindset because they have a different attitude and a different passion. And they develop themselves because they have also probably identified their passion and develop themselves out of the creative field into a more business orientated field. This is also important. What I always think about is know yourself. Also, when you think about developing yourself. If you would like to develop yourself, there are two ways you can develop in the creative field. It's developing yourself in a great specialist role, being the best artist and creative mind, creating the greatest solutions, or you have passion for leading people. Both ways need to be decided for yourself. Means you need also to listen to your inner voice. You need to reflect yourself. What is your passion? It doesn't mean that you slash all your creativity or your creative mind when you are developing into a leadership role. But when I have development talks with my coworkers or mentees, I always ask them to reflect about this topic, because you need also.
Question to you is, when we start looking at, like, there's a customer, you were telling us an example, that customer does not like what you've done. Maybe it's the way that you've presented, or the customer did not give you the brief at the right time. But now you are required to relook at either some part or the entire project. What happens to the time that is invested? What do you recommend, that how do we balance the requirement of time and effort and satisfying the customer? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh, that's a really challenging question, because it's not easy to answer all cases, because it's depending on the individual case. It's always depending on the customer needs a balanced time set, which is also important to agree with the customer, which timeline you have in mind. Um, Less time is not okay, too much time is also not okay. So this balanced time, the manager or the creative leader needs to think about based on the experience, and it must be clear to the customer which time the creative team needs, and you need to stick to this time. When I say less time is not okay, it's always the time pressure which brings a bad solution. If you have too much time, you lose the focus. So the creative team means uh, team who's working on the task needs, especially the support I've talked about, from the leader, from the team leader, to guide them and set the timeline. It's difficult to say because it's also depending on the scope of the project, how much time you need. But it's possible to develop some flows, which project can need which time. But what I always encourage is to stick to the process, the creative process. There are different ways of working available, but the most common is having a briefing, which needs to be as detailed as possible, with the opportunity to get freedom to create. And then you have these different stages of the process, but the creative process starts always with a teamwork, how to start what is needed to do. And in the creative process, we are working very often with brainstorming sessions after the briefing. And this is also a step-by-step process which needs to be fulfilled. And these structures are needed to know, also to have a rational process in place. And each step has also the checkpoints and cornerstones until the final presentations, including meetings with the customer. It's difficult to say. Once I've had a discussion, we said 80% of the entire project time needs to be dedicated for the process and 20% for the implementation. It was just a rough, because if the process and the planning is not made in the right way, you can't implement. At the end, the solution needs to be implemented, but the implementation is always the phase where you have a lot of costs because you are working often with contractors, with supply of material, with being at the site. So this is roughly what I'm working on.
Thank you so much. Thank you for validating
Mm.
some of the things that we've been doing ourselves. Next question. Anyone? You use the mic because we're recording this.
Hi, Thomas. Thank you for a lovely session and very insightful. I'm an animation film designer and director, and we run a animation setup which is also based on the similar design fundas. We make sure that we are serving the client, understanding their intention, the purpose, and then we start the process of developing a film for them. Now, at time, what happens is everybody is evolving, including us, and sometimes including the client as well, because we are
Mm.
also making them aware of certain processes and what they can expect. And at times, we have seen brief evolve. When the brief evolves, it extends something on the same lines as what you had also asked. It definitely impacts the timelines, and
Mm.
also it definitely impacts the team, the creative team who has been working all this while figuring out and giving solutions to the client. The client is also becoming open-minded. So this is sometimes that some of the projects get into that loop wherein we know that it's important to give them the right kind of solution. They know that they deserve all the right solutions, but time is something that is always on our head as
Mm.
opposed to the client's head. So how do you deal with such situations?
It's again about leadership and how the leader steers the project. Sometimes you need to challenge your team, and the leader needs to have the control about the entire project. And the timekeeping is so important. Sticking to deadlines. You can't extend the timeline when you have agreed with the customer on a deadline for a checkpoint or a final presentation. You must steer your team using your leadership as a creative leader to steer the team fulfilling the job on time. And therefore, you need to have the capabilities and the skills to lead. And I think it's also something where we could talk about for hours. But these skills, and the leader is playing such an important role, and steering the team with confidence, showing that you are steering the team, that you are all in this project, but also supporting the team, motivating the team, and of course, sometimes challenging the team, but not putting too much pressure. So it's very sensitive. You need to find your way and also learn to work with your team. Hmm?
So I think I agree with the question,
Hmm.
especially on managing client and creative team expectations. I have kind of two questions for you.
Hmm.
One, of course, what is your different experiences in your various geographies, from Europe to Australia, Korea, and India? And second, IKEA being such a Swedish minimalistic brand and India being a maximalist country,
Hmm.
how do you balance that?
Great questions. So first of all, being a leader in different countries, the most important thing was for me to learn about the local culture, the local mindset of my coworkers, and this is something what I've learned also in Australia. And we Europeans probably have the cliche that Australia is an extension of Europe, but Australia is totally different. And I've learned so much about the differences in Australia, how the people are thinking. When you are just visiting the country as a tourist, it's not what you experience when you are living there. Means what is the mindset, what is the attitude, how the people are working, what's the speed of the work, and how do you apply your skills, project management, the IKEA way, and how to steer. And the same happened in Korea. It was a really interesting experience because I needed to learn a lot of things about the mindset of people. And this is totally different what I've learned from Europe or even Australia, that the mindset of creative people can be totally different compared to a European mindset. What was very interesting working with East Asian people because they have a different mindset, more rational, but also more advanced, being self-confident. And the self-confidence was amazing. On the other hand, sometimes you needed to steer the self-confidence of the co-workers into the right direction. Also, it's about leadership, learning, and being open-minded, especially when you are working in a different cultural environment, open-minded for the people and the people's mindset. Otherwise, you can't make your job in a foreign country. Coming to your second question, how is IKEA applying to the Indian market or the Indian lifestyle? Yes, you're right. Scandinavia is very minimalistic, and I personally also am influenced by specific trends and design opinions. I think that the key is that you learn about the local market. What we at IKEA are doing is always learning about, we call it life at home. We are visiting people, we are visiting businesses to learn about their life, their needs, their desires, their frustrations, and apply in our showrooms and also in the entire stores, showing solutions fitting to the local market. We have at IKEA some principles how we present our range, but we always, and this is also something what we are doing on each local market, not only on the country market, even in such a diverse country like India, you can't compare Bangalore, Mumbai or Delhi because people are living in a different way. And we need to know how the people are living and working on the local market. And then with this knowledge, we are developing the right localized solutions within our framework, with our, we call it mandatories, what we have to fulfill in our range presentation principles. But the creative solution is totally individually localized. This is, I'm again back to the example with the music. What have the creative people made? You have the same solution, in this case, range presentation solution, the same ways of presenting the range all over the world, but the creativity is to apply to the local market and make it individually localized. This is what we are doing. Of course, we have also sometimes the opportunity to be more in general, showing IKEA as a brand, with the Scandinavian roots. And then we create also solutions which are probably a little bit more minimalistic. Hopefully, also locals love these solutions because societies are changing. But the majority of the solutions is showing how the Indian people are living and working. Mm. Mm.
Okay. It's not so much a question, but
Mm.
maybe a point of curiosity and could be a little personal for you.
Mm.
When you spoke about creative leadership, now there's that aspect of that you let go of some creativity, you have people, and then you're managing the team, but you're also rationalizing the business for the company.
Mm.
So in a position like yours, where you've been a senior leader, um, at what point do you find that you can say how to find your personality in this case? Because now you're balancing creative mindset with business rationale,
Mm.
but for a very large company like IKEA, which is obviously it's not like a design firm that works with a customer, but it is a large business retail front
Mm.
that thinks of numbers and sales every single day. Now, at these junctions, what is your personality without feeling tied or suffocated between the two?
Mm. Of course, it was also a learning curve for me. Taking over my first leadership role and struggling and getting a lot of feedback which was not so nice. But it's also this gaining experience, learning. It's a never-ending learning curve. Open for new aspects. Learning was following me since I'm working for IKEA. Then this balance, if you decided to develop yourself in a leadership position, like I said, I made it conscious, slashing parts of my creativity and apply to the business tasks. Because it was a responsibility, it was a clear demand from the company. If I'm in this role, I have to do these things of team management. When I developed into the department head position, it was a clear task what this role has to fulfill. Because I was a member of the store steering team, the store management team, means I was a responsible member of the business team. This is the one part I needed to learn to apply. On the other hand, because I'm a really creative mindset, sometimes I'm really also a dreamer, and I have my method to develop ideas. Just probably it's possible. My method is sometimes when I need to think, I'm looking out of the window. I'm very creative just by looking out and switching off my total environment. I'm so creative while riding in a train or so. So everyone has his own way, and I found my way still to be creative, fulfilling the team management process for my creative team, which I don't want it to slash, and fulfilling my business, rational business tasks. It was really a tough learning, and it's still something where I personally struggle sometimes because I'm not the Excel freak who is developing extended Excel sheets, and I'm fascinated when my colleagues are presenting these things. It's not my passion, it's not my task, and also not my skill. But I don't need it in such an extended way for my job. I need to learn and apply the basics for such things. But the other learning curve was also having a lot of support, getting coached, getting mentored, but also with a lot of sometimes really tough discussions with my colleagues who have challenged me to be much more a businessman than a creative person. And I had managers who really disagreed that I am a creative leader. They wanted to change myself into a business navigator, for example, for the store design team. More, nearly 99% focusing on business navigating and numbers and these rational things. I couldn't do it because it's not my passion. It's not my skill, and it's also not the role I have to fulfill. Tough discussions. So it's always also this balance you have to find for yourself. And I personally am still the creative mindset and not the rational manager. And this I keep. I definitely keep it. And I take these discussions with my colleagues. Even I have to face feedback, which is probably not so nice because some people think I'm not fulfilling what I'm assigned for. But this is what you need to do for yourself. And again, self-confidence is important, that you know what your role is, what your role in the entire team is. And then you need to balance it.
I mean, I have a quick follow on, but I'll let others ask and then maybe.
Yes.
Hello, Thomas.
Hello.
Thank you so much. It was a really insightful information we got. My question is with regards to value addition. So there are two follow-up questions with the
Hmm.
same. I'll put it together. So we understand in creative industry, every step we have to add value to the client.
Hmm.
So while before even the production process begins, there is a huge value addition we have to do proposals.
Hmm.
Correct? So I just wanted to understand within your experience, while during IKEA or even before that, what are the nuances in your life that you had felt ki I'm proud of this value addition I made to this proposal? And how did you come up with it? And how can you suggest us to come up with something like that?
Again, a challenging question. It's also about finding yourself. Means when I think about my journey, it's all about reflecting yourself, where you are, who you are, and what do you want to reach. And this whole process is something what is be done in a conscious way. And you need to be open for self-reflection, for input, for feedback. And how you manage it, it's individual. It's very individual, depending also on your passion, skills, and mindset, and also the support you will get. So my personal journey, I would say, is very individual. And on the other hand, I've also learned to take the lead for myself and steer my personal development by myself. Have I answered your question? And Hi.
Thank you so much for organizing this. I mean, I'm myself a designer, and I'm a big fan of IKEA in general, and an avid customer as well. I think you already asked a question about how's the design language of the West adapting to in India. I wanted to ask from you. You've been here for the past 4 years, leading the design agenda. Do you think that there's something that the design team has created in India for India, which has been utilized in the West? I mean, the other way around, is that something that also happened?
Not on this detailed level, because, like I said, especially when we talk about IKEA, each local market works on their market. These connections can be there if we share good examples what we have made. And the best thing is always when we in India have created something, share it on our platforms, and others from somewhere adapt it and copy it at their stores. Um, um, we have tools and platforms to share what we are doing, but this can be also something where other countries can learn from when we work more and more advanced, because we are still in the settling down phase, I would say. So IKEA in India already is available for a couple of years, but we are still in the phase to settle down, to get known by the people. And for example, what we can share and where others can learn from India is Indian apartments can be quite small.
Yeah.
And we have these struggles in all countries where people are living in small apartments. But the special living situation in India, I've learned, is also multi-generational living. This can be, for example, something very special for India, which can be adapted by other colleagues in other countries where they have a similar situation. Small space living, like we call it, and also multi-generational living, which is also more and more important in other countries, can be, for example, one point the others can learn from us, or how to work with festive decorations. When we now start the festive season in India, what happens in Indian homes? What can be adapted in creating atmosphere in other countries' homes? So these things we would like to do much more, but unfortunately, in every store, each team is so stuck in their local situation that they have a clear agenda for their store, for their unit, that adapting other ideas can be also challenging for them. But it's definitely something what I can take with me. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I have been avidly speaking with the staff around
Mm.
certain products. For example, I don't know, do you know about the Jatibo sofa? It's like a collection of modular
Mm.
sofas, and
Yes.
I was having a conversation with the staff about getting one for myself, and they helped me out to get one from the rejected,
Mm.
the second life section. And then they were telling me about how they had to number their products because in India people weren't used to having the modular setup
Mm.
yet, so they were only coming in a few batches now and then.
Yes.
So that was pretty interesting to know that they have been very strategic in also stocking up on what sells, I guess.
Mm.
So very interesting.
Yeah, that's also something what I think each company is doing, and IKEA is doing it in the same way,
Hmm.
looking for the market relevant products which
Yeah.
we can sell. And this is also happening at IKEA, that we are thinking about our entire range and select the products which have the most potential for the local market. And we know also, even in the same country, in one city, this product works better than in another city, because the mindset of the people in this city is totally different.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hi, Thomas.
Hey?
This is more to do with your personal journey, not these kind of
That's
questions.
fine.
So, you said you were into art, creative, writing, and films, which is all different kinds of things. So, I want to know what made you stay with IKEA for 35 years almost. Have you ever thought of exploring something else, a different organization or something else? When you say films to writing to so many different things,
Mm.
it's all vast. So, what made you stay in this line? And also, one particular organization. Have you ever thought of, like, should I explore something else? What made you stay back?
Mm. Um, it was one main topic. My reason why I stayed with IKEA was not really only linked to the work. It was more how we are working together and the development opportunities. Especially how we work together is very important for me, and how to create your own workload. As a creative leader, I have got an interesting opportunity to live my mindset as a creative leader within the company without having too much framework which is limiting myself. This is also linked to this IKEA culture. Another thing is that I have definitely a passion for interior design and shop design, um, gained at IKEA, but the basics I've learned in the film industry. I still like writing. I'm still a passionate photographer. I normally have always a camera with me when I'm walking through a city. But I found different ways to express my creativity in the other topics. Means photography was also a development process. What is my photography expressing? What is my passion? And I made a similar process like I made for my professional journey. I made it especially for photography, uh, really individually for myself. What is my really sorry? What is my what do I want to express with photography? What is my photograph art? And then I reflected and found the way, also based already in my teenager age, which kind of photography is I'm doing. Sorry. And this was also something where I stepped away from the plan becoming a professional photographer, because I also learned when I was working as a journalist the limitations of the job as a photographer, because it's a cliche that the photographer is doing everything what he wants to do. No, the photographer is just a tool, a human tool for creating something what some others have already pre-created. In the advertising industry, the photographer is the last part of creating the ad and the photo, but the photographer gets a clear description, briefing, and mostly also a scribble or a detailed drawing, and he just copies what somebody else has developed. There's no creativity. It's just doing with technical tools something what others already have created. This I learned also in the journalism. These stories of these crazy guys making great stories. No, that's not the reality. You're so limited, and then I found my way to express myself with this kind of photography I'm doing, totally individually, but I stepped away from becoming a professional photographer. And then with the writing was similar. I also thought about how to write. And this, unfortunately, I'm still a passionate, would be a passionate journalist, but I've decided there's no future for myself. There's no opportunity to becoming a professional journalist because of different reasons. And then within the interior design, I've learned something new and created for myself a new attitude and a new passion and feel well with this. So the combination of company culture, ways of working, and being a passionate interior designer and shop designer has kept me with IKEA. And I never have thought about leaving IKEA so far.
Hey Thomas, thanks. So you joined IKEA when it was a much smaller company, and you've seen it grow to this level through the years now. What is it that? What do you think was that formula or the baby steps that IKEA took when they were small to bring them to the level that they are, and that brought them so much of success? And what can that be? And not many companies have been able to, follow this model. So.
I think the success of IKEA is linked to our founder, Ingvar Kamprad. He was a really interesting self-made man. He founded IKEA when he was 17, and he started as a mail order company, a small mail order company in the on the countryside in Sweden, in Småland. And then he was very innovative to develop his company step by step. And he was really always developing and finding new opportunities, finding things which others haven't made. And year by year, IKEA became bigger, but the mastermind was always Ingvar Kamprad. There was no decision was made at the company on global level without an agreement and an okay from Ingvar. And this innovation, this never-ending change process, this always being aware what the business opportunities are without changing the base of our concept, means our way selling things. It's very special, and it's more the other way that a lot of companies have copied IKEA already, and sticking to the base, sticking to our principles, and the never-ending change and development process. This is what IKEA made so successful. And of course, the people and how we are working together is also something what encourages everyone to develop. It's something what Ingvar also once said is he don't want to have yes people in his teams. He wants to have people who are saying what they are thinking, even if it's critical and feedback which leads to a change. So this never-ending change is also based on encouraging people being part of this change process, talking about new ideas, and this is also a success factor of our development. So learning and adapting is, I think, also very important.
So this is on again
management and the leadership.
Hmm?
As you have seen like thousands of clients, any tips like how you told like the frustration, no, we should not get off the frustration. Any tips how do we manage the client who tend to do sometimes micromanaging?
Two questions. First of all, managing frustrations. It's something what you need to learn for yourself, and it's, I think, only possible if you get support from a mentor or a coach or within the team. So the team spirit is also important when you are working on a project and a single team member has made a frustrating experience with a client or whatever. I think it's also important that your team leader needs to support you, and also the team itself means also that the team member who has made the frustrating experience needs to be encouraged also to talk about it and share. So this team process, I think, is very important. And everyone needs to learn how to manage frustrations. There are some methods available how to overcome frustrations because, like I said, creative people are so emotional, and frustrations are one of the knockout situations for a creative person if you can't manage it in a good way. Self-confidence is very important. You know what you are doing, you know your skills, you know your competence, and if a client or somebody else is bringing you into a frustrating situation, you need to remember and reflect what you are and what you can. What is your competence? And this process, I think it's also restarting from scratch in each frustrating situation. But you gain this experience and get more and more relaxed and cooler once you have overcome these frustrations. And the best is always when you have overcome a frustration with your own work. Means when you have found a way to overcome the frustration, probably with a better solution, or you have the mindset that everything what you have made is right and probably the other is wrong. It can be also the case that the other is totally wrong and has treated you in a disrespectful way, which created a frustration. So reflection is very important to manage frustrations. The other question was about
Yes,
micromanaging of the client. It's very tricky because micromanaging is always tricky for a creative process. Because when you hand over a task to a team member, or in this case, a client, uh, hands over the project to you, then you need to have the time to work on this task. If somebody is always micromanaging, then you have a problem because the creative process is not working smoothly, and you always need to interrupt. You always have to align. And if you are getting into this hamster wheel, you will not create the right output. Means how to manage it. It's the easiest way is always being open-minded and talk to the person who is doing micromanagement and clarify the demands, the expectations, and on the other hand, what are you doing and what do you need for fulfilling the tasks according to the briefing. And of course, the briefing is also something important. It's an agreement between client and customer, client and I miss sometimes the words. You know what I mean. I would say between the client and the creative team, to make it easy. The agreement should be also always fixed in a written form, that you always can refer to the briefing. This is the briefing we have agreed on. On the other hand, you have to be open-minded. Like I said, the customer always steers the process from his perspective. If the customer wants to have changes, you have to be open-minded. But on the other hand, be open to talk about it. If you don't talk about it, just take what the client says and pressures you to do things different, then you are not happy. You can't work out your solution. This conversation, this communication part needs to be kept. And of course, if somebody is starting, if a client or somebody else is starting this micromanagement, talk to somebody to get support. How to deal with this situation. Probably you can get some other points of view. Probably you get some tips and ideas how to manage it in a good way that the customer is still satisfied. But don't get into this wheel that the customer is steering the whole process.
Right, so next one. I need this also. Well, you can ask the question. Huh? That was a very thought-provoking session, Thomas. Thank you for sharing your insights on the creative mindset and how leadership go hand in hand with balancing both of them. And to those who have joined us, thank you for your participation and presence. We look forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
You have a question? Please, please, please. Yeah, that's working.
Thomas, lovely chat. Also, big fan of IKEA. A quick question: what is the single biggest design challenge you had with IKEA, working with multidisciplinary teams, global markets, and the fact that you have to be nimble while still being a giant like you are?
Please, there was an interruption.
What
The
is your
last,
biggest
yeah, the
design challenge that you've
Hmm.
had as an organization that works in multiple markets, being a giant, as well as at the same time the need to be nimble in terms of addressing customer concerns and problems?
Hmm. Oh, during my journey, I had so many challenges and situations where I needed to apply. But a recent experience was I was working on a project and have had to finish already planned solution, and I created for myself a setup which is also or should express my way of creating interior design. Minimalistic, focusing on special elements with colors and just expressing myself in this project. Then I was pulled out because I needed to join another project, and somebody else has took over, and the colleague had a total opposite mindset, not a minimalistic mindset. So my idea was having a wide main expression with color accents, for example. And the colleague had a totally different. He wanted to have colors everywhere, textiles everywhere. So it was quite struggling for me to see also that a project can turn into the opposite expression when you are not involved in this project. And these struggles I had quite often, especially when you have to work with different involved projects, project teams. If you have a kind of responsibility, but at the end, too many people are involved in a project, and then you definitely struggle immediately because too many people who are involved in a project can destroy the entire project.
Right. Thank you.
Um, yes, Another, we have a small token of thanks to you, Thomas, for
Oh,
your time
thank
and
you.
for visiting us. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. And a small.
Wow.
We're
Thank
so
you.
happy to have you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Thomas. We will. Yes, and we do the picture and then we can all drink and eat something. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. I think it's 15 minutes up, but we will. Yeah. You want to pull the sofa here? We'll do the standard thing. Right? We move the sofa and take a picture. One last thing. We'll take a picture. And then